G'day world, my name is Eric Chong and welcome to my second video. If you're watching this, hopefully you have an interest in landscape or street photography, because I'll be taking you with me to do some of that today. The primary reason I'm here today is to capture a photo of the moon rising. Before I did that though, I did get here a little bit early to get a few photos of the Sydney sunset. Now these videos are mainly for me to learn the video making process, but hopefully along the way I can inspire you to pick up a camera and see the world in a more interesting way. This is a behind the scene walk, which means I will be taking you through my thoughts and processes for capturing my images today, showing you the good ones and the not so good. Here at Middlehead Sydney, this place is probably best known for the military outpost that you are about to see here. There are a few dark tunnels under the surface, so it's probably not a bad place for some kind of paintball or war games. And as you can see here, the kids have similar ideas. Here we are at the primary spot where I will be taking my photos today. This is my second time here. I didn't quite get the chance to check out the tunnels this time, but I gotta say I have yet to come up with an idea to use the outposts in my photos. Today's location is facing east, the direction that the moon will be rising. Behind us we have the sun setting to the west. In front of us you can see South Head, which is the southern point of the entry into Sydney Harbour. Similarly, we have North Point on this side. The point we're standing on is in the middle, so I guess that's where the name comes from. I am seeing a Sydney ferry that is about to sail past Hospital Lighthouse at South Head, so just waiting for it to be in the right place. And here we go, warm up photo 1 for today. The composition is okay on this one. The lighthouse is a little bit small and there is a little bit too much water in the frame. I did try to get a bit of foreground in this photo just with these trees to make things a bit more interesting. You should always pay attention to the lighting in your area. Just a few minutes later, the clouds went past, allowing sunlight to reach this front area. So I grabbed the second photo with the ferry lit by the sunlight this time. Nothing beats good lighting in a photo. Compared with the photo which I boosted the lighting in editing, the naturally lit ferry in the second photo is definitely better. Of course I couldn't forget the sun is setting behind me. Spinning around I got this photo of the ferry sailing towards Sydney Harbour. Turning back around, the headlands at South Head is now fully lit by the setting sun. It is one of my favourite spots for sunsets, and as you can see it is quite popular. And for good measure, here's a bird of prey perfectly lit by the sunlight. The problem with long lenses is that they tend to make you stand in the one spot and not make you move around. Try and break away, I did notice some birds in this tree, so I tried to get them in the clear. And this is about the best image I got of it. It is not a good image, it doesn't stand out enough from the trees in the background, and you can't even see its head. Giving up, here are some flowers instead. Here's a pro tip, if your wife enjoys the outdoors as well, definitely ask her to come along. Here she is, just pointing out something really cool that I have completely missed. Check out these light rays in the clouds. I'm not sure what is happening. I'm guessing it might be shadows from the clouds casting onto the air particles. It sure is interesting. so bear with me for another image at this angle. It is pretty interesting, but it is surely hard to edit. Just like rainbows, I find it a bit difficult to make it stand out but natural. Here's the yacht that you saw in the clip earlier. I did grab these trees in the foreground as well just to make the image a bit more interesting. And here's an idea just to make it a little bit more artistic with the use of Photoshop. All the images you just saw are taken from about the same spot. Long lenses are great, but they do tend to make you not want to move around. So I dragged myself away to this artillery pit for a little bit and finally settled on this composition with this boat that is about to sail past. The general rule for an interesting landscape photo is a foreground, middle ground and background. In this case though, the foreground is not the best as it is a bit too dark and messy. So I refocused on this sailboat in the back. I think this works a little bit better because of the relatively small size of the boat compared to the open ocean. And the lighting on the boat and the background just makes for a moody image. I did go down to the artillery pit to see what else is interesting. Now I thought really hard about going down these stairs, but there are just so many steps. In hindsight, I think I should have went down because the view at sea level would have been completely different. Just taking a sneak peek to see what's down there. Yeah, definitely should have gone down. Regrettably, I went back up the hill. The sunlight was forming this nice pink in the horizon. So I made a couple more images in this nice light and with a different foreground. I do like these new framings with these trees, and this next one is one of the better ones of the day. I did come back to this original spot because it was getting close to the time when the moon was supposed to rise. Along the way I did grab this image of Watson's Bay as well, which I'm quite happy with. As you can see, foreground, middle ground and background elements. And in the background there is the Macquarie Lighthouse, which is also famous in the area. And as we settled into this last image of the sunset for today, you would have noticed that the clouds are still there, which is going to be an issue for our moon rising. Yes, just like a sunrise, you can't see a moonrise when there are clouds on the horizon. So I did the only thing I can do. Yes, the excitement. Gigabytes of video just staring into the ocean. I haven't used my square ND filter for about a year now, and this is probably actually a good practice. To spare you the excitement, let's see if I know how to fast forward this video. This image turned out okay. I am trying to go for a certain color tone in my photos and it doesn't quite work with this photo. If I turned it purple, it might actually work better because it accentuates the sky. Feeling a bit disappointed of the clouds covering the moonrise, I gave up on any opportunity to take anything exciting tonight. So I kept going with my long exposures, imagining what settings I would have used if the moon was rising. And then this happened. I was disappointed not to get a red rising moon I was hoping for, but still I should have been prepared for it to pop out from the clouds eventually. I was at the wrong angle, so I had to run back up the hill. So we're back to where we started. So let me first explain what I meant when I said I might be in the wrong spot. For this photo, you would want the moon to be as close to the lighthouse as possible in order to zoom in as much as you can. The moonrise would have started around here, moved to where it is now and ends up at around this location. So by moving to the right of the image myself, I was trying to close up the gap between the moon and the lighthouse. Now this was a practice shot. As you can see, the f-stop and the ISO is too high. The second photo is one of the final images that I got for the day. As you can see, the headlands is properly exposed and also the lighthouse is lit up as well. Normally I would be quite happy with this one, But for an extraordinary photo, we want the moon to be in proper exposure as well. If you have a fancy new camera or a medium format camera, all you have to do is probably just to bring down the highlights. But for an older camera like my 5-year-old D810, I'll have to do some photoshopping. So I shot a second photo with the moon properly exposed. The two photos are stacked together in Photoshop and lined up. With the masking tool, the overly exposed moon with no details is replaced by the properly exposed moon with details. And this is the result that you will get. For a proper landscape photo, this is probably where I would stop my editing. But for something extraordinary and to be artistic, I went one step further. I brought the moon further down to the horizon with Photoshop, which would have been a better time to take this image. And this is the final result. I am definitely not a Photoshop expert, and there are many ways to do this edit, but I gotta say I'm quite happy with this result. Thank you for watching, and I hope I have inspired you to go out there and see the world in a more interesting way with your camera. I hope I have made some improvements since my first video, and I hope you have found this to be as or more interesting. Stay tuned and give me a like or subscription if you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.